What if I told you that some of the darkest plots, whispered in hushed tones as mere conspiracy theories, were true and chillingly impactful on our world? Welcome to another deep dive into history's shadows, where today we uncover the terrifying conspiracies that, against all odds, turned out to be real. From government secrets to hidden scandals that shook the foundations of trust, these stories are not for the faint of heart. Before we peel back the curtain on these bone-chilling truths, remember to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. You won't want to miss the secrets we're about to reveal. Are you ready to challenge everything you thought you knew? Let's uncover the truth together. The Roswell UFO Incident, 1947. The summer of 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico, forever changed our perception of the cosmos and our place within it. This seemingly quiet town became ground zero for one of the most talked about UFO incidents in history. It all started when a local rancher named Mac Brazel stumbled upon strange debris scattered across his property. Unlike anything he'd ever seen, this wreckage included rubber strips, tinfoil, and tough paper, igniting immediate curiosity and concern. The military swiftly intervened after reporting this find to the local sheriff, who contacted the nearby Roswell Army Airfield. Intelligence officer Jesse Marcel was sent to inspect and retrieve the mysterious materials. With the world still sensitive to the threats of the burgeoning Cold War, anything unusual commanded attention, especially from a military perspective heavily invested in maintaining national security. The initial military response was intriguing. They issued a statement claiming the recovery of a flying disc, a term that sparked wild speculation and excitement. However, the narrative took an abrupt turn the very next day, when the military, possibly realizing the potential hysteria this could cause, backtracked, declaring the debris merely remnants of a weather balloon. But the story doesn't end there. The intrigue surrounding Roswell grew, fueled by the government's secretive postures and cryptic statements. It wasn't until nearly half a century later, in 1994, that the US government acknowledged that the debris was indeed part of a covert operation known as Project Mojo. This top-secret project was not about alien surveillance, but rather about monitoring Soviet nuclear activities using high-altitude balloons equipped with acoustic sensors capable of detecting sound waves from atomic blasts. This disclosure was meant to put an end to the conspiracy theories, but instead, it added layers to the Roswell mystery. Many wondered if the balloon story was a convenient facade to cover up something even more extraordinary. Tales of recovered alien bodies and crashed spacecraft continued to surface, painting a narrative of a massive government cover-up. Tobacco industry conspiracy. For decades, the tobacco industry orchestrated one of the most significant public health deceptions in history. This saga, rooted in greed and manipulation, underscores a narrative of unethical corporate behavior at its most egregious. The tale unfolds with the cigarette manufacturers who, despite mounting evidence from the 1950s onward, were fully aware that smoking caused lung cancer and that nicotine was highly addictive. Instead of oppressing these dangers, they deliberately obscured the truth to protect their profits. This grand deception began to unravel as scientific evidence became indisputable and public health voices grew louder. Yet, instead of fostering transparency, industry giants doubled down on their duplicity. The infamous 1953 meeting at New York's Plaza Hotel marked a pivotal moment when major tobacco firms, including executives from American companies and representatives from the public relations firm Hill & Knowlton, converged to craft a strategy that would mislead the public on a massive scale. This gathering catalyzed a public relations onslaught that promoted tobacco while denying its risks, effectively underwriting hundreds of millions of premature deaths worldwide. The strategy employed by these companies was manipulatively brilliant, yet morally reprehensible. They launched a frank statement to cigarette smokers, a nationwide campaign that blatantly lied about the safety of smoking, declaring that cigarettes did not cause cancer and that public health was a paramount concern for the industry. This narrative of doubt and denial was not just a public relations stance, but a well-engineered assault on scientific truth. The depth of the conspiracy deepened over the decades, with tobacco companies employing scientists to produce favorable studies that downplayed the risks of smoking and even promoted cigarettes as healthy. These studies were strategically designed to never conclusively link smoking to cancer, creating a veneer of scientific uncertainty where there was none. By funding selective research and publishing results that supported their agenda, the tobacco industry successfully muddied the waters of public understanding for years. As legal battles mounted and the internal documents of these companies came to light, the extent of the deception became undeniable. These documents revealed a sophisticated, calculated campaign to hook young smokers, addict them to nicotine, and keep the public confused about the health impacts of smoking. The 1990s saw a series of landmark lawsuits, culminating in the Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement in 1998, where tobacco companies agreed to pay $206 billion over 25 years and curtail marketing practices, particularly those aimed at young people. However, the damage was already extensive. Millions had suffered and died from smoking-related diseases, families were devastated, and the public health infrastructure was burdened with an avoidable epidemic. The legacy of this conspiracy is a stark reminder of the potential consequences when corporate greed overrides moral and ethical considerations. 1919 World Series Fix. Black Sox Scandal. In 1919, the Chicago White Sox, one of the strongest teams in baseball, faced off against the Cincinnati Reds in what was expected to be a thrilling World Series. Instead, it spiraled into scandal with 8 White Sox players, soon to be known as the Black Sox, embroiled in accusations of intentionally losing games in exchange for monetary rewards from gamblers. This scandal not only shocked the sports world, but also marked a critical turning point in the governance of American baseball. The stage was set for an electrifying 1919 World Series. The Chicago White Sox, known for their formidable lineup and strong performance throughout the season, were the favorites to win. However, rumors began circulating that something sinister was afoot, casting a shadow over the anticipated series. Allegations surfaced that players had entered into a conspiracy with prominent gamblers to throw the World Series in return for a hefty sum of $100,000, a fortune at the time. As the series unfolded, the White Sox performance was inexplicably poor. Key players made uncharacteristic errors, and the team's overall play was lackluster, leading to a defeat that few had predicted. The suspicious nature of the loss led to an investigation, revealing a plot that impacted 8 players, including stars like Shoeless Joe, Joe Jackson, and pitcher Eddie Seacott. These players were accused of underperforming deliberately as part of an agreement with the gamblers. The scandal culminated in a highly publicized trial in 1921, where all the accused players were acquitted of conspiracy, mainly due to missing evidence and allegedly tampered witnesses. Despite the legal acquittal, the newly appointed commissioner of baseball, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, resolved to clean up the sport's tarnished image. He banned all 8 players from professional baseball for life, stating unequivocally that any player who throws a game or even discusses throwing a game would be banned. This decision effectively ended the careers of the involved players and forever altered their legacies. This scandal profoundly impacted professional baseball, leading to stringent reforms in governing the sport. New measures were introduced to curb gambling influences, and the commissioner's role was strengthened to protect the integrity of the game. The 1919 World Series Fix remains a cautionary tale about the perils of gambling and the severe consequences of compromising the integrity of sports. Scientology's Operation Snow White. In the 1970s, the Church of Scientology carried out what would become known as Operation Snow White, one of the most significant domestic espionage operations in American history. This covert operation was not exposed to the public until it culminated in a series of dramatic events, leading to legal battles and significant repercussions for the church. Operation Snow White was orchestrated by Scientology's Guardian Office, the church's intelligence agency tasked with protecting its interests and combating perceived threats. The operation was initially conceived to purge unfavorable records about Scientology and its founder, L. Ron Hubbard. These records were housed within various agencies of the US government, as well as other institutions and organizations worldwide, which the church believed were maliciously spreading false information about Scientology. The operation reached its peak when Scientology operatives, including high-ranking members of the Guardian Office, infiltrated numerous government agencies such as the IRS, the FBI, and other U.S. foreign agencies. These operatives, using fake credentials and other deceptive tactics, sought out and stole or destroyed documents they believed could be damaging to the church's image. The sheer scale of this infiltration involved thousands of Scientology operatives and resulted in the theft of tens of thousands of documents. The clandestine activities of Operation Snow White were eventually uncovered due to the investigation efforts of the FBI, which led to a massive raid on Scientology's offices in 1977. This raid revealed extensive evidence of the church's illegal operations, including detailed plans of the espionage activities and lists of the documents that they had targeted. The fallout from these revelations was swift and severe. 11 high-ranking members of the church, including Mary Sue Hubbard, the wife of Scientology's founder L. Ron Hubbard, were indicted and subsequently convicted of conspiracy against the United States. The exposure of Operation Snow White had far-reaching implications. It significantly damaged the public's perception of Scientology, portraying it as an organization that was willing to engage in extensive illegal activities to protect and promote its interests. The scandal also led to internal reform within the church and increased scrutiny by government bodies and the public alike. FBI's COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO was initially created to combat the perceived threats of communist influence within the United States. However, its scope quickly expanded, encompassing a broad range of domestic groups that challenged governmental policies or the social order of the times. This expansion reflected an era of significant social and political turbulence in the United States, marked by vigorous activism and demands for change, which the government viewed with suspicion and often outright hostility. The tactics employed by the FBI under COINTELPRO were diverse and invariably invasive. These included anonymous mailings, wiretaps, setting up pseudo-movements, and spreading misinformation to sow discord and mistrust among members of targeted groups. Notoriously, the program focused on leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr., feminist organizations like the Women's Liberation Movement, and other civil rights activists, aiming to discredit and destabilize them. The surveillance and disruption extended to sowing discord between rival groups, engineering media smear campaigns, and, in some instances, cooperating with local police departments to harass or even physically harm activists. The illicit activities of COINTELPRO were eventually brought to light in the early 1970s, following a burglary at an FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania, where numerous classified documents related to the program were stolen and subsequently exposed to the public. This revelation prompted significant public outcry and led to congressional inquiries, including the Church Committee, which investigated abuses within the FBI, CIA, and other intelligence agencies. The fallout from COINTELPRO's exposure was profound. It led to significant reforms aimed at curbing government surveillance powers, including the establishment of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, and other oversight mechanisms designed to protect civil liberties. The scandal also left a lasting legacy on the targeted movements, contributing to a sense of betrayal and mistrust towards the government. From chilling UFO incidents to grand-scale corporate deceit, and from rigged sports events to church-legged espionage, our journey today has unveiled some of the most unsettling conspiracies, which were once mere whispers among skeptics, but turned out to be stark realities. Each story peels back layers of secrecy to reveal truths that have reshaped our understanding of trust and transparency within institutions we once believed were beyond reproach. If you're drawn to uncovering more hidden chapters of history and unraveling the mysteries that lurk in the shadows of the past, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Delve deeper into the unknown and forgotten tales that history has to offer right here with us. Remember to hit the bell for notifications so you can experience all of our future explorations into history's most gripping secrets.